up, guys, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling Show, the #1 wrestling show on the internet meant specifically for casual wrestling fans. Each and every week, I, the Notorious NerdyD, topple the biggest questions in pro wrestling. You could find the show every Wednesday on YouTube and on your favorite podcast networks. If you enjoy the content, make sure to join the Casual Community Discord group. The link is in the description of this video and of this podcast. You can ask anybody in the comments. The Discord has been absolutely amazing. I'm upset that I waited this long to actually make a Discord and create an actual community element to the show. I actually think I waited till I kind of burned out for the Discord to actually kind of give me the motivation to want to keep doing this and actually It's been fun. Discussing what gets talked about on the show after the show has been more fun than making the show, and that's a good feeling. So make sure to join the Discord and get to know some cool people that are in that community. So let's start off. Top story of the week here. I've had a few days to let WrestleMania sink in. It's Tuesday night. It's here. It's 2 a.m, which is when I like to record stuff. But I've had a little while. It's all sank in. Watching the entire weekend while in the Discord community, I think gave me a little bit of perspective. It allowed me to really see what I thought versus what other people thought, and it's kind of given me a few ideas moving forward for some cool content for premium live events, which we can talk about in the weeks to come. But more importantly, let's take a step back and let's take a broad look at WrestleMania 39, because I think, interestingly enough, coming into the weekend, my expectations were low. I think that I had said, if I remember correctly, I had D-level expectations coming into the show, or I had D-level excitement with a B-level expectation. And as we got closer to the event, naturally, I think that my excitement went up. The minute that they show the stage reveal, I think you immediately go from, D-level excitement to you get that jolt of energy, which takes you to an A, and you get drunk on what WrestleMania 39 is, right? Or just WrestleMania in general. And I think that, having been removed a few days now, I'm sobering up. I'm able to take an objective look at what WrestleMania actually was. And I think that when all the smoke clears, I think that I hit it right on the head. I think it was a B-level show. I think it was a B-level show that had A-level elements sprinkled throughout it, but because they choose to do 2 days, it's a B-level show. And I can hear right now the IWC argument that this was just an amazing WrestleMania, right? But you have to be honest. If you're talking about this, you have to be honest. WWE used a lot of trickery and fuckery to make us come out of WrestleMania thinking, oh, this was a good show. And so the IWC is probably arguing right now, this was an amazing WrestleMania, besides the ones that are drowning in their tears over Cody Rhodes, but we'll talk about them in a minute. There's a lot of IWC, WWE drones and sheep who think that this is the most amazing WrestleMania ever, but they do that after every WrestleMania. They have no ability to be objective. But what WWE did is what they do best, and that is they hid the fluff and the fat. They hid the things behind a curtain that most people with an objective opinion could see, but that WWE drones just, they buy right into it, right? There's a lot of fluff and fat. I think that if you broke that card down, if you look at the 2 nights, and a good friend of ours from the Discord, We Too Deep, did an episode of his podcast where he actually took the full card and broke it down into one night. So that's worth a listen. Make sure to go check out that episode. Search for the Slapping Meat podcast on podcast networks, and that will pop up. So he's got a good episode where he takes the 2 nights of WrestleMania and breaks them down into one. So there's no need to do that here. He did an excellent job at that. So what I'm going to do is just kind of run through the card match by match and kind of pull back the curtain on what WWE was actually doing and how they made us believe that this was a better card than it actually was. So let's start with Saturday night. Let's start with John Cena and Austin Theory, okay? This match did absolutely nothing for anybody. Theory is stagnant. He did not get elevated because of this match. Don't try and sell me the dream. This match was a waste of time. It was a piss poor way to open WrestleMania. I know the IWC is sold on Austin Theory. They love him. He's got everything they want except fucking any kind of character whatsoever. He doesn't look like a credible threat to anybody, even after beating John Cena, which is, it's hard to do. It's hard to come out of WrestleMania, beat John Cena, and still go into the following night just kind of stuck in the mid-card. But that's absolutely what he did. And I know that I'm kind of in the minority. I still prefer the cell phone gimmick Austin Theory. I liked the annoying heel. It gave me something to hate. It gave me a reason to watch Austin Theory. And because I hated him, I loved him. I mean, there was a moment in time where Austin Theory was my favorite heel on the roster. Then they made these changes to his character, which kind of took him into this place that I absolutely call boring. And I'll go one step further. I think Austin Theory is the mayonnaise of the WWE. And what I mean by that is he's just bland. He's just plain. He's mayonnaise. How do you go into WrestleMania building up this match? This was supposed to be kind of a coming of age moment for Austin Theory, and you make him have to use a cheating tactic to beat John Cena. Why are we protecting John Cena? What are we really expecting? Like, does John Cena have another run? Because after I watched WrestleMania, I don't think that John Cena has anything left in the tank. Cena looked like a shell of what he used to be. Right? I mean, he was as white as Larry Bird, first off. He had no color. He has lost that superhero Cena look. He's dropped some weight, which is fine. It's perfect for Hollywood, but he doesn't have the superhero muscles. He has a Hollywood body now. And kind of like the scene from Step Brothers, where they go to the job interview and they're wearing tuxedos, and it's like, I thought this was funny, and now it's awkward. Like, the bald spot on his head, I thought it was funny at first, but then after seeing him in the ring, like, it's kind of sad. It kind of feels like the Cena era is officially over. We can officially close the book on that chapter because there's no turnaround. He's not going back in the gym and going back to Super Cena. He's not going to regrow that hair. He's not going to suddenly become tan again. Like, this is Hollywood John Cena. And we got to see him in a wrestling ring. And it was, to be honest, a little bit sad. Now, this was a match that I was counting on overperforming to bring the card up. And at the end of the day, to me, this match, underwhelming. I mean, that's to say the least. Like, I don't know. Very underwhelming to start the night. Then we roll into the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Contenders match. Or I thought it was a Tag Team Contenders match. I swear to God, at some point, they sold us on the idea that this was a number one contenders match. Somewhere, somebody said that at some point. I remember this. There's no way, like, that happened. And so, you know, we'll talk about Monday Night Raw in a minute, but coming out of that match, the Street Profits win, which absolutely made no sense to me unless I smell it coming, a Street Profits heel turn. And I think they're due for it. I think they could work as a heel tag team, especially against Owens and Sami Zayn, which we'll talk about Raw in a minute. I think I smelled it there too. But that match, what? I mean, was it really WrestleMania worthy? Or was that some fat and fluff that they added to the card because they got to fill up 2 nights of WrestleMania? I didn't love it. I thought the Viking Raiders were going to come out on top. Maybe I'm a little sour because that's one of the matches. Only one of 3 matches that I called wrong all weekend. But it's fat and filler. That's all it is, fat and filler. So we start off with what I call an overrated, overhyped John Cena Theory match, and we roll into a fat and filler match. Okay. So from there, we move into Seth Rollins and Logan Paul, which is where the show actually started, okay? The other two matches, pre-show matches. Look at it that way. Look at it as those two matches were pre-show matches, and the show officially started when Seth Rollins and Logan Paul made their way to the ring. And a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack here, right? Once again, Logan Paul exceeds all expectations. Now, I know with Logan Paul, they use a lot of like slow build and a lot of like old school antics to kind of hide the fact that he doesn't have a large repertoire of moves. But I actually think that makes Logan Paul matches feel different. They feel old school. They're refreshing, right? He kind of builds up to like this one big moment that we know is coming. And they absolutely did that. A lot of wrestlers these days like to, the minute the bell rings, they just slam their foot down on the gas and it's flip, flop, flip, 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 flop, flip, flop. And there's no pacing and no build up to an exciting moment. With Logan Paul, if it's just by default, we get this slow kind of methodical build to a big moment, and it's a refreshing change. Now, Logan Paul's contract is over. WWE, you have to figure out how to re-sign this guy. You have to. Like, he's too perfect of a celebrity draw, and he doesn't need to wrestle every week. He is perfect at showing up for these big events and putting in enough work that he looks credible and putting on big matches and bringing in outside attention. So they have to do whatever it takes to re-sign Logan Paul. Okay? Now, gonna just shout myself out here. I called KSI being part of this match in the Discord during WrestleMania. How did I know this? Complete shot in the dark bullshit answer trying to be funny that actually came to be true. And yes, I will claim credit for calling that KSI was inside of that mascot uniform. I can understand Seth Rollins' frustration within WWE. And I know he doesn't voice it a lot publicly. And I know he says he has some problems with Cody Rhodes. And I can see that there's probably some animosity just towards WWE in general. But he's a good soldier and he falls in line. But I can understand because he shows up every year, every week, every month, and he just puts on solid matches. Doesn't matter who's in the ring with Seth Rollins, whether it's Riddle, whether it's Cody, whether it's Logan. He puts on solid matches, and he's always going to be top 3 match on the card. Always. There's no chance that that's not happening with Seth Rollins. So I get the frustration. Like, he's always in the discussion for match of the night. I don't think he was match of the night, but like, good finish. Seth Rollins goes over, propels him moving forward, and it doesn't hurt Logan one bit because Logan disappears and he comes back when he's picked his next victim. Damage Control versus Bayley, Lita, and Trish. This was another fat and filler. This was another fluff. This was meant to put more big names on the card. It's amazing how two 47-year-old women can just look so different inside the ring. Lita looks so stiff and so uncomfortable. And Trish looked natural and comfortable. And I'm actually excited for the prospect moving forward of Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus, probably around SummerSlam. I think that makes sense. And I'm excited for that. But this match was absolute waste of time. This is fat and filler. This is filling in the 2 days. We need big names. We need names that will bring in older fans. Trish and Lita, there you go. Right? But I talked about this before. This is two quote unquote over the hill wrestlers coming back, taking spots from other women because we can't write a decent women's storyline and putting together a fat and filler match. Fluff, all fluff. That's all that was. Outside from there, we go to Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. So not a lot of complaints here. I can't really complain. We got Dom coming out in a prison escort, which I thought was funny. I thought it worked. And we had Rey Mysterio coming out in the lowrider. I knew from that moment we were in trouble as far as getting Dominic as a credible heel moment. I knew that him coming out in the prison car meant they're sold on him being a comedic character. They're not serious about turning Dominic into a credible heel that the WWE will continuously boo. And that's okay. That's their choice. But I think it's the wrong choice. I think Dominic should have come out in the lowrider. Missed opportunity. Dominic should have come out taunting Rey Mysterio in the lowrider. I would prefer it that way. I know a lot of people in the Discord enjoyed Rey Mysterio in the lowrider, but I just think the other way around, once again, just adds more heat to Dominic Mysterio. So I don't know where really to start with this match. I've seen, opinions all over the internet go all over the place. A lot of people like it, which I'm okay with. I thought the match as a whole was good. I do believe they got the finish wrong. I think there was an argument that story will continue past WrestleMania, but why? It can continue past WrestleMania with Dominic winning. And this is the biggest stage of them all. And Dominic Mysterio was teetering going into this match on being the biggest heel in all of WWE. All they had to do was pull the trigger. Let him beat Rey Mysterio on the biggest stage on the night where Rey Mysterio, or the night after Rey Mysterio went to the Hall of Fame. That's it. The crowd will absolutely turn on Dominic. If Dominic wins that match, he walks out of night one of WrestleMania, the biggest heel in the company. Now, I don't know who the biggest heel is. I'd have to sit down and think. It's still Roman Reigns, but outside of Roman, who is the biggest heel in the company? And like I said, you could still continue the story. Everything that happened the following night would not be a problem if Dominic won the match. You could still involve Bad Bunny for Puerto Rico. You could still have Damian get involved. You could still have Ray upset. It just probably would have been even better if Dominic came out of there looking powerful instead of Dominic coming out of there looking like he can't beat his dad. That doesn't make sense to me. I think an even better WrestleMania for Dominic Mysterio would have been had he won the match, night one. He beats Rey Mysterio. Then post-match beatdown, leaves Rey kind of beaten and battered. Then night two, when they call out the Hall of Fame members onto the stage, Rey Mysterio comes out maybe in an arm sling or taped up, and Dom comes out again, continues to beat up Rey, and possibly, if you could, make it look right, throws him off of that high stage and just absolutely obliterates Rey or throws him into one of those big screens, but does something to continue the beatdown. I think you do that, and Dominic Mysterio leaves WrestleMania the biggest heel, possibly on the same level as Roman Reigns. But instead, they chose to go with the safe, comfortable, let's let Rey Mysterio win, and I think it was a huge missed opportunity. Charlotte and Rhea, I took a lot of shit for this. Charlotte and Rhea. All the way up to WrestleMania, I was singing the praises of Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, and so many people jumped on to tell me, lots of IWC jumped on to tell me, you're not guaranteed that this is a good match, are you? You're not guaranteeing they're going to steal the show, are you? I said, yeah, no, I think they are. And it was based on who they are now, not who they were 3 or 4 years ago when they had their first match. Everybody wanted to remind me, you don't remember that match? Yeah, I do, but people change. People get better. Rhea is definitely at a different place in her career than she was the last time her and Charlotte hooked up and had a match. Well, once again, your boy was right. I called this one. This was match of the night on night one. Dare I say, this was match of the weekend. And your boy said it was going to be. Your boy said this was going to be a big match. Now, Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, possibly out of their fucking minds with some of the shit they were trying to do. They were pulling it all out. There were 3 or 4 times I thought Charlotte Flair legitimately broke her neck or broke her nose or broke her face. Literally. But they pulled it off. And Charlotte Flair, we have to give credit, right? She just strapped a nuclear rocket to the back of Rhea Ripley. And this is an opportunity now for Rhea Ripley to take this ball and run with it. I don't care. I don't care that there's this this feeling that Charlotte Flair, what does she do if she's not champion? She'll probably take some time off. And I think I read something that she wanted to do some bodybuilding. Good for her. But Rhea Ripley, she's got to take this ball and run with it. Now, I don't like to rate matches. I'm not Dave Meltzer. I'm not giving out 5 stars. But if I'm giving this match something, it's 10 fucking jalapenos because it was on fire. I mean, this match was on fire. That was my match of the weekend and my match of the night. After that, we got The Miz and Pat McAfee. Perfect segment, clever. It's a clever use by WWE to cool the crowd off coming out of that big match, allowing the crowd to kind of regain composure. You get a little chuckle with Pat McAfee. It's exciting. It keeps the night going. And you got George Kittle involved, which got a nice pop. And I think that it was a clever way to kind of keep the momentum of the last hour going heading into the main event. But then we go main event. KO and Sammy versus the Usos. I'm not going to sit and talk about this for a long time because this was just a beautiful end to an amazing year of storytelling, right? This was the A+ match that we all expected. This was the literal main event of WrestleMania. This is what 99% of people came to see. This was it. This was the culmination of what we all were emotionally invested in. And the finish was poetic, right? It was what it was supposed to be. Sami Zayn hitting a symphony of haluva kits on Jey Uso. My only problem, can we split these fucking belts up or can we combine them into one belt? I am so fucking tired of people fumbling and dropping and trying to hold on to two belts that make absolutely no sense. They've been teasing for a long time a new tag team belt. Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. If you're going to combine them into one belt, pull the trigger. If you're going to have two belts, change the belts. Get one of the belts off of this tag team and onto the other show, and let's do it. But carrying around these two belts that they're dated, these two dated belts, it just doesn't make sense. But if I'm giving out jalapenos, 10 more jalapenos for the main event and sending the crowd home happy. All right, so night 2, right? Night 2. I'm all rested up, got some good sleep. Coming back, throw some steaks on the grill. We're eating good. This is Tribal Chief night. This is Cody Rhodes. This is the main event. This is the thing that I haven't been excited for, but somehow I'm building up excitement, right? Open up the Discord, get ready, say what's up to the community, and we're off to the races. Sunday night, this is supposed to be the big night. Boom, right off the bat. Brock and Omos. What in the actual fuck was that supposed to be? Was there an internal meeting inside of WWE that said, hey, let's start both nights off with absolutely dog shit matches? Because that's what it felt like. It felt like let's get the two worst matches and put them early in each night so that people forget about them by the end of the night. That match did nothing for nobody. Nobody. Brock Lesnar trying to sell Omos as a threat when the year before he just went toe-to-toe with the Tribal Chief 2 times. But now we're supposed to believe that Omos is a credible threat. There's a part of me that just wants to pretend once again that this never happened. This was just a pre-show match. This never happened. This is like the movie Shazam with Sinbad. It doesn't exist. I know it exists. There's a part of me that knows that exists, but you can't find it. They've cleared it from the records. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look that shit up. That's a real thing. But 100% Bobby Lashley should have been somehow involved in this match. And instead, we got a weird, short, not a squash match. It was literally meant to try and make both guys look strong, but it did absolutely nothing. So from there, we go to a women's showcase match, which once again, I'm under the assumption this is a number 1 contenders match, which apparently it wasn't. And the best part of this match to me was that 3 of the 4 teams actually had matching uniforms. That's what I took away. Raquel and Liv put on matching gear. Natalya had some green in her hair, and Ronda and Shayna came out in geese. Why Shayna Baszler came out with no shoe on, limping, and they put her in the match, I have no fucking clue. Apparently Ronda Rousey's arm is hurt. Yet, here we are. We got both of them in the ring. They wrestle 30 seconds at the most, and they come away with the win. And then we'll talk about Monday Night Raw, but on Monday Night Raw, absolutely nothing makes sense. Look, if this is what we're doing, if this is the quality of matches we're going to have in the women's division, take those women tag team titles and just throw them in the same trash can that you threw the 24/7 title in. Because Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler were the last hope to rebuild those tag team titles and give them credibility. And now it looks like both of them are injured and they're not going to be able to perform for maybe the foreseeable future. We'll find out more on SmackDown. But Becky and Lita, that's not it. That's not it, bro. That's not rebuilding the division. This match, once again, fat and filler, fluff. That's all it was. Pre-show. So I see the trend. There were pre-shows. They just accidentally let the pre-show matches onto the main card. So then the real show starts. Gunther, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre. This is exactly what we all knew it was going to be. 3 grown-ass men beating the life out of each other. And I said it in the Discord, and I'm going to say it again. AEW, take notice. Take notes. Write this down, Tony Khan. Make note of this. You could do all the little flips you want. You could do all the little jumpy jumps you want. But at the end of the day, what wrestling is supposed to be is grown-ass men beating the shit out of each other. This was a beautiful car crash. This was a beautiful wrestling match. And deep in my heart, I wanted Sheamus to win this match, as I think a lot of people did. But at the end of the day, I know who needed to win that match. In my heart of hearts, deep down inside, I know Gunther was the right winner for that match. And because it was such a good wrestling match, I didn't give a fuck who won. I didn't care who walked out of that match a winner, because we were the winners for getting to see that match. Now, there's a trend here, guys. Sheamus and Gunther put on high-quality matches. Throw Drew McIntyre into that. Can we book them correctly in 2023? Can we understand that Gunther is a fucking monster and he needs to be propelled to the top in 2023? I saw an article that said odds favorite right now to end 2023, Roman Reigns will be Universal Champion. Please, no. Gunther needs a run in 2023. Please, whatever we got to do. If we got to Daniel Bryan this shit and start some kind of weird chant and movement, let's get that done. So out of that match, we went to Bianca and Asuka. And that happened, right? That was a match. That was a thing that happened. Anybody else remember 12 months ago when I was on the Bianca Belair train and I was her biggest fan? I don't know if anybody in my lifetime that I've watched in professional wrestling has fallen farther from my graces than Bianca Belair. Once again, another match with no real adversity, no real threat of losing. Asuka never looked or felt like a true heel to Bianca, and that's what Bianca needs. Bianca needs the yin to her yang. She needs the counterpart. She needs that epic bad guy that she has not gotten the entire time she's been champion. They are adamant, guys, on turning Bianca Belair into the new John Cena. The IWC fucking hates it when I say that. They go, where's your examples? There's your examples. Like, she's being shoved down our throats with no, like, what it is Bianca Belair feels like product placement. Like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch and the Intuit tax logos, Bianca Belair feels like product placement to me, right? It feels like they've got the title on her so they can say, she's broke this record, she's broke this record, she's broke this record. It really feels like that's what's most important to WWE. And I know right now, I'm gonna squash this shit early. There's going to be a group of people who come out and call me racist for saying that. This has absolutely nothing to do with Bianca Belair's race, and it has everything to do with the fact that she's corny. Look, Bianca Belair is fucking amazing, right? She's wholesome. She's a great role model for little girls. I have no problem with any of that. The problem I have is that, like, she needs adversity. We have to believe. I never once believed Asuka was going to win that match. If there was a match that I was going to bet my life's money on, it was this match, because I knew how this was going to end. And they didn't even do a good job on making me doubt that during the match. Bianca Belair has everything that it takes to be a massive star, but she's missing the ability to be a front runner. Something John Cena did extremely well. Bianca's going to have to learn how to do that. And I think she will. I don't think that it's something she won't learn. I just think in this point in time, Bianca Belair is so much more interesting when she's chasing a championship. That's the reality to me. When Bianca Belair is forced into vulnerability, she is amazing. Hopefully, she breaks a couple more records, and then WWE figures out how to get her back into a position of being the underdog, because she performs best out of that position. As for Asuka will roll out of this and she can just like get more crazy, right? It's always good to have a character that like thrives on chaos and losing. Asuka can just roll out of this more depressed, more mad, even though it looks like there's a little bit of turmoil going on with some of the women in WWE. We can talk about that more during the Raw segment of the show. Coming out of that, we got Miz and Snoop again. I absolutely thought this was the moment where LA Knight comes out, gets a match with The Miz, gets a WrestleMania moment, and we all get to kind of rest easy, take a deep breath. LA Knight was part of WrestleMania. Not happening. Didn't happen. What we got was what absolutely nobody fucking wanted, and that is Shane McMahon coming to the ring. I swore Shane McMahon was done with WWE. I thought we as fans were done with Shane in the WWE, but bro comes out, starts a match, and just murders his calf muscle. Just absolutely. And I don't like to laugh or talk trash about injuries, but there's something about this that feels like wrestling god karma. Like it absolutely feels like wrestling god karma for just trying to fuck us WWE fans out of like the last couple years of wrestling. And Snoop Dogg, the goddamn professional that he is, steps in and apparently ad-libs the finish of the match by hitting The Miz with a punch and then dropping what some people have deemed as the worst people's elbow. I'm going to call this the greatest people's elbow of all time. Absolute boss-ass move by Snoop Dogg. Edge and Finn Balor. This is the only other match that I believe I called wrong for the weekend, besides Street Profits and Rey Mysterio. And this is a weird one because I still don't know if that was really the finish to the match, or if once Finn Balor's head was split completely open and his brain juice was leaking onto the mat, that they had to just audible and give Edge the win. So I don't know what was supposed to happen in that match. All I know is that when your head gets cut open that gnarly, like, I stopped caring about who wins the match and start caring about, is Finn Balor okay? So the Judgment Day, though, come out of WrestleMania looking like absolute dog shit. I think that they have absolutely no momentum. There's no cohesion. If you didn't know they were a faction going into WrestleMania, there was no implement of like them being a cohesive unit at WrestleMania. And I think that sooner rather than later, the Judgment Day are done. I think they're ready to send Dom on his way. I think Rhea has ascended past being part of a group that tends to sway a little comedic. I think Damian Priest has really had absolutely no movement inside the group. And I think if Finn Balor, I don't know how long those staples take to heal, but they might need to pick up pieces of Finn's brain from the ring. So I think sooner rather than later, the Judgment Day are done. Then we get the main event. This is it, right? This is what we've all been waiting for. This is what everybody was waiting for. And this is what your boy saw coming from a mile away. Cody wasn't ready. It wasn't Cody's time. And the IWC is now swimming in a pool of disappointment and tears because Roman swerved everyone. Roman probably leaked that he was taking time off post WrestleMania so that all the little IWC marks and nerds would run around and scream, oh, if Roman's taking time off, that means Cody has to win. Didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I could feel it in my bones. We're not done with Roman. We're not done with the bloodline. And it's not Cody's time yet. I could smell it, man. The Tribal Chief survives another one thanks to Solo Sikoa, but that's all right. And it was a great match. Good match. Lots of near falls. I was nervous. This is one of those, unlike Bianca and Asuka, I was nervous. I thought there were times it looked like, oh shit, this is it. Cody's taking the belts home. I didn't absolutely love the finish of the match. I thought it was a little messy, but you got to get to the end somehow. And I guess that was the plan, to get to the end. Show ending, I think everybody thought there should have been one more moment, somebody coming down. And if it wasn't The Rock, I had thought somebody like Rikishi would work. Somebody coming out like an acknowledgement from Rikishi to Roman Reigns that he is the tribal chief and head of the bloodline. That would have worked. But like I said, I called it from the beginning. I was B-level excited. And I think this was, at the end of the day, going to be remembered as like a B-level main event. So overall, let's bring it all around. Let's bring it all together here. Overall, night 1 to me, better than night 2. I don't think either night was exceptionally great. I don't think either night was exceptionally bad. I know a lot of people didn't love night 2, but I do think there were moments that made it feel good. And I think WWE, like I said, they did a good job of ending the nights so spectacular that we forget about the fat and fluff that was presented to us early in the nights. Or daytime. I'd say daytime because it was hardly night during the show. No LA Knight. That's disappointing. No Bobby Lashley in a match. That's disappointing. I guess Bray Wyatt is off somewhere pouting because even if he was just injured and not just in his feelings, we could have gotten a promo or some weird QR code or something like that. But, nowhere to be found. Kind of telling. We'll see. Friday will be the real moment where we find out if Bray Wyatt's done again with Vince being back. Could make sense. Good weekend overall. But I'm definitely ready to leave a lot of those storylines in the dust and move forward and see what happens, moving forward with a new season of wrestling. And so with that, let's jump in and then let's talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw. So I don't know about everybody. I wasn't in Discord Monday. I actually took the kids to hang out at the mall. They wanted to go to the mall and do a couple things. So I didn't get to watch Monday Night Raw live with the Discord, which was a little upsetting. I wanted to do that, but didn't get to. So I came in blind by myself and watched it at about, I'd say 2 a.m. last night. And to me, this wasn't the typical Monday Night Raw that we're used to getting post WrestleMania. Because I've said this before. I think that the Monday Night Raw post WrestleMania is my favorite night of wrestling all year. And it just wasn't even close this year. This felt like a bad episode of Monday Night Raw in like November. This had absolutely nothing that you're looking for inside of a Monday Night Raw that follows WrestleMania. I've been to 2 Monday Night Raws following WrestleMania, and I think those were the most fun I've ever had at wrestling. But let's talk about it, right? So they let Austin Theory beat Rey Mysterio, but Dominic Mysterio can't beat Rey Mysterio. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Even if Theory got the win because of Dom, it makes no sense. Bad Bunny gets involved with Dominic Mysterio. So now it's obvious that the main event or one of the main events of Puerto Rico is going to be not centered around the WrestleMania Backlash, but it's going to be centered around an entirely new match formed for the Puerto Rican crowd, which is fine. No problem there. I'm not even mad at the match. I still think, though, had Dominic come out on top at WrestleMania, this match would be so much more interesting. It would be so much more interesting if Dominic was just top-level, God-tier heel coming into Monday Night Raw, and instead, this is just, okay, whatever. We got a fatal 4-way match. No, we didn't get that's not what I have written here. I have the Street Profits won a fatal 4-way match at WrestleMania, which I thought was for a number 1 contendership. They come out to the ring to greet KO and Sammy, and basically it's announced that if the Street Profits beat KO and Sammy, they would be first in line for a title match. What the fuck? What was that? What was the fatal 4-way match for? Was it literally just to get more bodies in the ring at WrestleMania? Like, I know that's what it was, but could we not sell that as something more important? That doesn't feel like something important enough. That feels like something you put on the SmackDown before WrestleMania. It doesn't feel like a WrestleMania match. So it absolutely makes no sense. And then on top of that, Street Profits are fucking buried again. They lose to KO and Sammy, which means like for the last 4 or 5 weeks, the Street Profits have just been kind of beaten down by Austin Theory. They've been beaten down by KO and Sammy. If I had to make a prediction, now, Vince McMahon seems seemingly back involved, so logic is thrown out the window. But it smells to me like Montez might have been testing out a little bit of a heel swerve there, heel turn. He seemed to be getting a little feisty with the crowd. So I predict that in the next couple weeks, the Street Profits turn heel and we get a proper KO and Sammy versus a heel Street Profits, which could be good and interesting for the Street Profits. And I would like to see somehow, some way, a heel Street Profits take one of those tag team belts off of KO and Sammy early so that we can have two proper tag team divisions and start flushing out proper tag teams to make that make sense again. Seth Rollins did a backstage promo, walked out to the ring, sang his song. Then apparently, we'll get into this in the news, but apparently something happened and plans were changed and he just walked back to the back. So Monday Night Raw felt, up until this point, like a greatest hits album. It didn't feel like, typically on the night after WrestleMania, you get a couple rematches, which are fun because they're usually big matches. And then you get some surprises and some things like that. But this just felt like, hey, we've got to get everybody the crowd wants to see out into the ring or some form or fashion. They've got to be on TV so that we can justify this being the post-WrestleMania Monday Night Raw. Bobby Lashley. We got a Bobby Lashley appearance where he squared off with Bronson Reed in the back. It looked like they were starting something, but not tonight. Not tonight, guys. Maybe another night. What? That's not what we do? What? Okay, cool. So then instead, we get Ali for the 1,000th time beat up by Bobby Lashley. And the IWC continues to tell me that Mustafa Ali is not a jobber. Bro, he's a jobber. His job is to get beat up by Bobby Lashley. That's it. That's what he does. What else do I have here? I have Bianca Belair trying to convince us that she's had a good run as champion. Because that's all it is, right? Bianca comes out, cuts a promo on the EST, and she's literally trying to convince us that she's had a solid run as WWE Women's Raw champion. Who have you fought? What have you done? Who here, without looking it up, can tell me who Bianca Belair has defeated as Raw Women's Champion? I can tell you. I have it written down. Asuka multiple times. Once WrestleMania and once at Hell in the Cell along with Becky Lynch. Alexa Bliss at the Royal Rumble in a weird match where Alexa Bliss disappeared. Bayley at Crown Jewel. Bayley at Extreme Rules. SummerSlam was against Becky Lynch where Becky turned babyface. We had a championship match with Carmella on Raw. Carmella at Money in the Bank. And Sonya Deville. None of which any of those are memorable and none of any of those that were built around a coherent storyline. So this is a lame duck title run, guys. They can sell it as what it is. Bianca can sell it as what it is, but I don't care how long you've had the title. This is not a memorable title run. It is time to take a step back, rethink Bianca's character, and have her come back and build credible threats to somebody who is that talented. I mean, that's just the truth. We had a tease of, so after all that, Rhea Ripley comes out and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I guess we're going to do the champion versus champion thing, which once again, I'm completely fine with. This is the Raw after WrestleMania. We do these kind of things. What do? They literally in the ring say, one day this match is going to happen. Now I've heard people say that's a tease for the next WrestleMania. Please no. Please, Bianca cannot hold on to this title for an entire another year. Please no. I just know, like, if you're going to do it at Backlash. Do it sooner rather than later. Like I said, I was under the impression that the Fatal 4-Ways were number one contendership matches, but all of a sudden, we get a number one contenders match with Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Damage Control. Now, let's play a game. What do all of those people have in common? They all lost at WrestleMania. So you're telling me 4 people who lost at WrestleMania get to come in on Monday Night Raw and have a match for the number one contender spot in the women's tag team division, and you're going to tell me that the women's division isn't just completely garbage at this point? And it's not the wrestlers. The talent is there. It's the storytelling. They can't tell a coherent story. I think the biggest surprise of the night is, most people would say, is Riddle coming back. I think it was the fact that Riddle had on underwear. He had on the underwear trunks. It just looked absolutely ridiculous to me. I don't understand the change of attire. Without shoes, without any kind of arm gear, he just looks naked to me. I don't love that look for him. And then we finished off the night with Cody, Brock, Roman, and Solo in the ring. This is the one true shining moment of Monday Night Raw. This is the one thing that I walk out of that I say they nailed this. They got this completely right. Match about to begin. Brock Lesnar turns on Cody Rhodes, beats the shit out of him, continues to beat the shit out of him, then continues to beat the shit out of him some more until finally ending the night, double burden Cody Rhodes or the camera or somebody. This felt like a message, guys. Some of those chair shots were stiff. Some of those moves Brock were doing were stiff. This really does feel like, to me, Vicente McMahon, as we've named him with the new mustache. It feels like a very Vince McMahon thing to do. This feels like, hey, the El Jefe's back in charge. Vicente's back in charge. And this is a message to Cody and to the WWE roster that when Vincent's back in charge, Brock's the guy. Brock's the man. But I think in more realistic terms here, this is the right play. It gets Cody out of the title picture. It gives him something big to do for the next month or two while they kind of build up Cody and build the story and build the redemption. And it gets Cody on the right track to eventually, he's on path to become WWE champion. Like I said, he wasn't ready. Brock is the perfect person to build that kind of momentum for. It gets Roman back on SmackDown. Whatever, we'll see Friday what they decide to do with Roman, what direction they go. I believe it's going to be Jey Uso. I think that's the direction they're going there, which I'm all for. I can live in a world where Cody and Brock Lesnar are fighting and Jey and Roman are fighting. I think that's a world that I definitely can live in. So once again, what they did was they saved a bad Monday Night Raw with an extremely kind of shocking but correct finish. All right, quickly here, let's talk about a little bit of news. I know we're running long, but post-WrestleMania, there's a lot to talk about. Basically, every news story that I found interest in this week had something to do with this idea and this belief that Vince McMahon is back in charge. It's Vicente McMahon. Dude looks like Gomez Adams. Dude looks like he came back an entirely different person. Bro went and dyed his hair jet black, grew a mustache, dyed it jet black, and came back and was like, no more Vince. This is Vicente McMahon. Whole new person. But so first article I found was backstage reactions to Vince McMahon being very hands-on at Monday Night Raw. This is from SE Scoops. Basically, look, they're going to try and sell us on these ideas. This is the plan. They're going to sell us on the idea that Triple H remains in charge of content, of creative. That's not true. Now that Vince is on the chairman or whatever of Endeavor, he's back in charge. This was absolutely a play. The reason he was willing to make this sell was 100% solely on the idea that they place him back in charge of the company. That's it. But he doesn't have to be the bad guy because he can say, oh, they did it. I didn't do it, right? It's believed that Vince McMahon will be involved in creative on a higher level. That higher level means he's the boss. He's daddy. He's Vincent McMahon. Vicente McMahon. Triple H, you run all ideas by Vicente, right? It's expected that Vince McMahon will be very hands-on, and it looked like he was back in charge of show's production. That's because he is. I don't know that he ever fully left, but now he doesn't have to hide in the shadows. He can come out and stand in the light and just basically drop a big middle finger, as Brock Lesnar did, to the talent on the roster. There's expected to be a huge negative shift from the talent in morale, of course. There's lots of people who liked what Triple H was doing. I don't 100% believe that the creative necessarily changed for the better under Triple H, but I do think that you could see the morale change under Triple H. And I definitely think if Vince is openly back in charge, there's going to be a lot of people who are confused. And it's said that while a lot of talent is not surprised that Vince McMahon is back in charge, that they believed it eventually would happen, but they're confused and they don't like the lack of transparency. Well, that makes sense, right? And it's said that Vince McMahon was on headset during WrestleMania 39, and he was in gorilla position during Monday Night Raw. What other evidence does anybody need? Vince is back in charge. You saw it in the booking, right? Because apparently there were plans that were scrapped by Vince McMahon coming out of WrestleMania. You want to know why that Monday Night Raw felt like a clusterfuck? It's because that was two minds butting heads trying to get their creative in on a show where right now there's going to be a struggle for creative power, and Vince McMahon will ultimately come out on top. Now, Fightful reports that a backstage segment with Cody Rhodes was scrapped by Vince McMahon. Interesting. We know, we assume Vince McMahon probably has a chip on his shoulder towards Cody Rhodes. Apparently a segment with Bad Bunny and Legado del Fantasma was scrapped by Vince McMahon. I don't know why. Maybe because those are guys that Triple H has promoted and pushed. Seems like a little bit of a power struggle here. Omos versus Elias was a late addition to Monday Night Raw. Of course it was. Of course it was. So Omos comes out of WrestleMania losing to Brock Lesnar with absolutely no momentum, nowhere to put him. And what do? They bring him in and they bury Elias. Okay. Last minute. Why? Why is that match on television? Doesn't make sense, right? It just, like, none of this makes sense to me. And apparently Seth Rollins had something happen during his promo where it's seen him visibly get upset. It's believed that, like, Becky Lynch and Bayley are not happy. Bayley apparently tweeted something to the effect of that has people believing she may be winding down in WWE. Like, do y'all guys remember at SummerSlam the amount of hope we as WWE fans had? And here we are in April the following year, and it's doom and gloom. And it's just Vince McMahon business as usual, right? Dropping morale to talent, not a big deal. Vince don't give a shit. He'll just find new talent, right? He'll put the guys he wants up to the front. I'm sure there's wrestlers right now exploring options, getting on the phone, making phone calls. Remember when it was all the AEW guys were going to jump ship back to WWE? Well, I think the boat turned around, and I think the WWE guys are probably calling Tony Khan and saying, warm up the boat. We're getting back on. We definitely have to take a wait-and-see approach. How much creative changes? Guys like Omos probably going to be pushed. Guys like Brock Lesnar probably going to, once again, kind of come to the front. Yeah, we'll see. What does it mean for guys like Gunther, who Vince McMahon was never a big fan of? What happens to those guys? Friday Night Smackdown in Portland, Oregon is going to be a very big indication of what we're going to see for the rest of the year. I think we should be able to sniff out in Portland, Oregon, is it a Vince McMahon show or is it a Triple H show? It'll be interesting. And let's keep a close eye on it and let's call it out and we'll know quickly what's happening inside of WWE. But that is all the time that I have for you guys this week. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out the Discord to meet all the other cool wrestling fans and casual fans inside the Discord. Make sure to check out some of the other content on the channel. There's a whole new menu of casual shows, from casual gamers to casual cravings and much more. There's actually a new show that we're going to be doing called Casual Fantasy, which is going to be kind of an weekly check-in on the Casual Wrestling Fantasy League 2.0, which is going to start April 13th. There are currently 3 spots left in the Division 1. 12 spots left in Division 2. So if you want to be part of the Casual Wrestling League, make sure to go to the Discord, jump in. There's a channel for Sign Me Up. What you want to do is jump in that channel, drop your screen name. I'll get you into one of the leagues, and we'll confirm that you're in, and we'll move forward. A little different this year. Last year, so the last time we did the Fantasy League, we just let Drop the Belt handle it completely, and it was just a running total of scores for each wrestler. This year, I want to take it one step further, and I'm going to create an actual schedule, and we're going to have one-on-one matchups on a weekly basis to determine who the actual champion is. So it'll be fun. It's going to be like a schedule. There'll be records. There'll be stats, everything like that. So if you're interested, jump into the Discord, go to the Sign Me Up channel, and drop your Drop the Belt screen name there. And with that, I think it is officially time to ring the final bell.